The 2025 All-Star race has officially concluded from North Wilkesboro, and we see some fantastic racing, some really good battles at the end, and Christabel comes in late with good strategy and picks up the All-Star win. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the 2025 All-Star race from North Wilkesboro. We got quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So, before the green flag drop in today's race, Kyle Larson will be the only driver that have to go to the rear because Kyle Larson, of course, is qualifying for the Indianapolis 500. He was not able to get at the track. At the start, you had Brad Keselowski lead the field from the outside with Christabel on the inside, and Brad Keselowski got a solid start and was able to clear for the race lead. And right behind Keselowski, we started seeing some fantastic and great battling, with Keselowski being able to have a really good battle with Joey Logano eventually, as Logano moved up to second. His car was really good early in the evening, and then eventually for the next 10 to 15 laps, we saw some fantastic back and forth racing. Logano would get a run on the inside, but couldn't get by Keselowski as Keselowski used that outside. Then he would try it again. Couldn't get by. We just saw some fantastic back and forth racing between these two guys for the next 10 to 15 laps. Eventually, Brad Keselowski, after about 10 or 15 laps, he was able to clear Joey Logano for the race lead, as Logano kept handling Brad Keselowski throughout the run, but Keselowski continued to hang on, and he started pulling away from Joey Logano eventually as the tires started aging. The first caution race will come out at lap number 57 when Daniel Suarez had a right front tire go flat and hit the outside wall coming off of turn number 2. Hit that wall a ton. His day would come to an end with a ton of damage. Tough break for Daniel Suarez. And then, all the lap cars have then come down pit road, with Brad Keselowski winning the race off pit road, followed by William Byron and Kyle Busch, who all took 2 tires, while Joe Logano decided to go ahead and take 4. And then on the restart, you have Brad Keselowski lead the field from the outside, William Byron on the inside, and Kyle Busch got a really good push from behind and was able to make the outside work, trying to take the race lead 3 wide. They'd be 3 wide on the restart, but then eventually William Byron got a really good run on both Keselowski and Kyle Busch, and he was able to take the race lead. And then Brad Keselowski started fading back as the car started fading back quite a bit, and Joe Logano moved up to second position. And then we once again start seeing some fantastic battling up front on lap 77 and 80 with Logano and Byron battling really hard for the race lead for the next 2 laps. And then Logano got a really good run on William Byron and was able to take the race lead. And Christabel was starting to get by all the cars as well. He moved up to second position while Joe Logano started pulling away. And then the next caution would come out on lap 101 when the pre-planned All-Star competition caution would come out. And then all the lap cars have then come down pit road, with Christabel winning the race off pit road, followed by Joe Logano and Chase Elliott. And then on the restart, you had Christabel lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and Christabel got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. And then we see another caution come out about 10 or 12 laps later when there was contact between Austin Cindric and Ross Chastain. Coming off of turn number 2, Austin Cindric was 3 wide in the middle between Alex Bowman and Chastain. Cindric just completely went up the track a little bit and runs into Ross Chastain, spinning him out, getting a ton of damage. Both those cars would be in trouble and be out of contention. Tough break for those guys who were running very well in the event in this race. And then on the restart, you had Christabel lead the field from the inside with Joe Logano on the outside, and they remained side by side for the next couple laps, but then eventually Joe Logano got a great run on Christabel, and he was able to take the race lead. At this particular point, Joe Logano started driving off and pulling away with the race lead and continued to pull out to a really massive lead. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson was coming on the outside. Larson had started back at 23rd and was already up to 7th position by the middle portion of the race on lap 151 of the event. As the run continued on, Logano continued to maintain a pretty big lead, but then the next caution in the race will come out of lap 1, number 76, when Brad Keselowski got sideways between turn 3 and turn number 4. He got up on the outside wall, hit the outside wall really hard, damaging the car. The season from hell continues for Brad Keselowski. His chance to win would come to an end. He would go to the garage with a ton of damage. Tough break for Brad Keselowski. This has been a rough season for that number 16. They just have not had things go their way, unfortunately, this year. Just a tough season overall for Brad. His night becomes in it after looking really promising. And then all the lap cars have then come down pit road, with Kyle Larson being the only one that decided to go ahead and take 2 tires and won the race off pit road, while everyone else, including Joe Logano and Christabel, they would come out in front. And then on the next restart, you had Kyle Larson lead the field from the outside with Joe Logano on the inside, and Kyle Larson got a pretty good restart and was able to clear for the race lead. But then eventually, a few laps later, after battling really hard, Logano got a really good run on Kyle Larson and was able to clear for the race lead, with Bell jumping up to second position. And then as the run progressed and went on, Joe Logano was starting to pull a little bit away, but Christabel was starting to gain a ton of ground on him. And then we were wondering, when were they going to go ahead and throw the competition yellow? Well, as soon as Larson hit the outside wall and had a toe link break, Michael Waltrip was up there, they would go ahead and throw out the caution for that. I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of the promoter's caution. I get why they were doing it, but the way they were doing it was frustrating. Fox's overall stupid coverage of that, really frustrating. They were focusing too much on Mikey. And for some reason, Michael Waltrip instead of Marcus Smith was the one throwing it. They would throw the caution on lap 217. And then everyone else would come down. A lot of drivers would come down pit road, except Joe Logano, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and Carson Hocevar. Everyone else, including Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, and William Byron, they would come down pit road. Christopher Bell actually has some contact with Noah Gragson on pit road. They would get a little bit of damage, but were able to continue going. And then on the restart, you had Joe Logano lead the field from the outside, Ryan Blaney on the inside, and Joe Logano got a really strong restart and was able to clear for the race lead. Meanwhile, Ryan Blaney got really sideways off of turn number 4, lost a ton of track position and ground, and started fading back quite a bit. But the man to watch was Christopher Bell. He was coming on the 4 fresh tires. The tires were working really, really good for him and got a really good run on Joe Logano. And they started battling back and forth for the race lead, battling back side by side with around 20 to 25 laps to go. They're battling back and forth, making moves inside, outside. Bell will try everything he could to get to the lead. Couldn't get by him. But then after a really strong battle for the next 10 to 15 laps, Christopher Bell got a really big run on Joe Logano on lap 241 of the event with 10 laps to go, made the move to the inside, forced Logano up the racetrack and kind of into the outside wall. Bell gets a really strong run and is able to clear for the race lead. And Christopher Bell starts pulling away from Joey Logano. At this point, there's not going to be really an opportunity for Logano to get there as Christopher Bell comes off the corner and picks up his first ever All-Star race win, technically his 4th win of the season if you count the 3 points-paying wins he's had so far this year, and his first All-Star race win. Huge congratulations, Christopher Bell, on picking up the victory. Christopher Bell had a really strong car all night long. Coming into this race, I thought Bell was going to be a major factor for a win. That car looked really good yesterday. He looked to be the best yesterday in the track conditions that we had, and no surprise or shock to see him go to victory lane. I don't think he had the dominant car tonight, but his car looked really, really good. And congratulations to Bell. I know people are going to think it's a controversial move the way he did it, but I thought it was fair racing there for Christopher Bell to pick up the winning way he did, especially with how Logano's raced people in the past. So nonetheless, congrats to Bell. Congratulations on picking up the All-Star win. Now he goes to the Coke 600, trying to go back-to-back in that next week. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the race results and give my score and thoughts on today's race. So Christopher Bell picks up the win. Joey Logano finishes second, nearly goes back-to-back in the All-Star race. A dominant run for Joey Logano. This 22 team's been showing a lot of speed over the course of the last 4 or 5 weeks. I thought he was going to go to victory lane. Logano was really upset with a lot of the gimmicks out, which is kind of ironic considering how he's won his championships the last 3 of the times. But still, Logano had a really good run tonight, showed some good speed. I understand the frustration from Logano. I get that, but same token, same time, so a really good run for him. Ross Chastain finishes third. Chastain qualified up front, but he faded back as the run progressed and went on, but he played some pretty good strategy. Stayed out on the old tires and was able to get a really strong top 5 finish in third. Great run from Ross Chastain in third place. Alex Bowman finished fourth. He kind of came out of nowhere near the end of this race. Bowman was not a really big factor in the beginning, but as the run progressed and went on, they made that car definitely better. Played some strategy calls too. Gets a really strong top 5 and fourth. Great run from Alex Bowman. Chase Elliott finished fifth. Solid top 5 run tonight for Chase Elliott. Showed really solid speed. Didn't have race-winning speed tonight, but was one of the better Hendrick cars. Ran top 3, top 4 most of the night. Comes home with a really strong top 5 finish. I think they can build a lot of momentum from this when we do go to Charlotte next week. Solid run for Chase Elliott in fifth. William Byron finished 6th. Ran top 10 all day. Ran as high as 3rd or 4th. Led laps early, but faded back as the run progressed and went on. Lost some track position too. He finished 6th. Solid day for Byron. Tyler Reddick finished 7th, was never really a major factor in this race, but Reddick did charge up near the end on fresher tires and comes home with a top 10 in 7th place. Kyle Busch finished 8th. One of the best short track races we've seen from Kyle Busch ever. He ran top 10 pretty much this whole entire race, put together one of the best performances we've seen from Kyle Busch overall this year. Ran in the top 5 at points, tried to make moves to get the race lead, actually led a couple laps tonight. That's a little encouraging for the short track programs. That's been one area where they've struggled this year at RCR. Good night for Kyle Busch to finish inside the top 10 in 8th. Chase Briscoe finished 9th. Quite top 10 run for him. Never was really a factor in this event, but he does come on with a top 10. And Chris Buescher finished 10th. Ran top 10 quite a bit, faded back a little bit though, but he does come on with a really solid top 10 finish. Carson Nosbar finished 11th. He played strategy, lost a ton of ground in the final run, but still a solid day for Carson Nosbar in his first All-Star event. Kind of ran near the back of the field most of the day, but does come on with a solid top 15 run. Denny Hamlin finished 12th. No speed whatsoever from that 11 car. They did improve on that car as the night went on, but that car looked to be one of the worst ones out there. He was in the back to pack the whole entire event. Does come on with the top 15, but just no speed from Hamlin. A little concerning with the lack of speed, considering how good he's been on short tracks this year. No speed from Denny Hamlin. Noah Gragson finished 13th. Decent night, but not a great night for him after getting the fan vote. Austin Dillon finishes in 14th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes 15th. Ryan Blaney finished 16th. Lost a ton of track position after getting loose. He had one of the fastest cars in the field, but once again, nothing to show for it at the end of the day. He does come over the top 20, but just a bad finish after running really well in this event. Josh Berry finished 17th. He got mired in track position at the end. He was up front most of this race. I guess he had a flat tire or something because he lost a ton of track position on the final run because he was contending up there with Chase Elliott for a top 5 and was running in the top 10 quite a bit tonight, but doesn't get the finish that I think he deserved. Austin Cindric finishes 18th after getting damaged in the crash. John Nemechek finishes 19th. Harrison Burton finished 20th. Good to see him back in the Cup Series field. He's been doing much better than Haley Deegan's done in that car this year. Just a tough race for him overall, one of the slower cars on the track, but good to see him back in the field. Kyle Larson finished 21st. Kyle Larson had one of the fastest cars on the racetrack before that final yellow. Unfortunately for Larson, just got that toe link damage and never was a major factor after the damage late. But still, Larson, going from Indy, not getting behind the wheel of the car, was up as far as 7th in this race, and I think had top 5 speed in the event. Just nothing to show for it, though, at the end. But now he tries to focus on trying to win the Indy 500 and the Coke 600 or getting a good run. Brad Keselowski finished 22nd. I feel bad for RFK fans, man. That 6 car has been plagued by so many issues, and when he has a fast car, something just goes seriously wrong for that car. I just feel bad for Brad. I thought it was going to be a factor for the win. Never had anything once he got past and just faded back off of cliff. Tough break at the end of the day. He finished 22nd, and finishing last is 21st. Third is Daniel Suarez after his issues in the event. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give my scoring thoughts on today's race. Now, coming into this race, I did not have high expectations because, well, the short track racing has not been that great, and the last years, I'm going to be honest, have been not the most exciting. The 2023 races that Larson won, pretty boring. 2024, pretty boring outside of the fight. But this year, I got to say, this race wasn't spectacular by any stretch of imagination, but I gotta say, for short track standards and recent short track races, this is one of the best ones we've seen with the next gen car. Yes, it was very difficult to pass the leader. I completely understand that, but you had a lot of fantastic, great battles. And I gotta say, the racing up front too was really fun and entertaining to watch. Sure, there were times where it was a little bit of lull fest in the middle of the race, but I gotta say, I really enjoyed this race. It was also a really fun finish. The last 20 or 30 laps, when they got back to green, I thought was really incredible and fun. Again, not a big fan of the promoter's caution, but I thought tonight's race overall was very, very entertaining and fun to watch. I think my score tonight's race is going to be an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun race tonight. I think both the Open and the All-Star race actually delivered at points for the most part. I was very entertained. I was worried about how the race is going to go. There's still work that needs to be done on the short track package, but I think tonight was a step in the right direction. Honestly, if North Wilkesboro was to get a points-paying race, I'd be down for it at this point, and let's give the Xfinity Series that too, because the Xfinity Series absolutely deserves a points-paying date at this track. So, that is going to be it for the 2025 All-Star Race review. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go below that and comment your thoughts below on today's race. Your thoughts on today's race, let me know below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and congratulate Christopher on picking up the win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow morning on the channel, you're going to see a NASCAR news video discussing this over the course of the last couple of days. We got a couple supercar drivers we got to talk about, like Brock Feeney, Cam Waters, and Will Brown. We're also going to talk about Cleese McFarland making another start in ARCA. We're also talking about Beecham McCall getting his start with Spire Motorsports. We're going to talk about people like Connor Zilisch, Junior Motorsports, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott again, Haley Deegan, all the good stuff. Junior Motorsports, Connor Zilisch, all that good stuff. We got a lot of videos dropping. Tuesday is going to be Indy 500 race picks, and I got to say, with all the chaos happening in Indianapolis today, I'm not sure I'm picking to win at this point, but nonetheless, looking forward to a lot of content dropping. There's a lot of videos coming this week, and there will be a schedule on that coming for you guys to check out. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.